Got it. Now we're also live on YouTube, and we will put up this. I will share screen so you get this little extra information here. So now we are just waiting for people to pop in, and as you see, go down there and choose your language in the little globe. We are in the waiting room. No, we're not in the waiting room. We are just staring at the welcome slide. And I hope people are jumping in. Moira, do you see how many?
Yes, participants.
Yeah. So we'll wait a little now. It's 1 o'clock. And I need to ask you a question because I'm not so used to this. I'm sharing my screen. Do you see me at the same time? And Bruce and Moira?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, I only see whoever is actively speaking.
Okay.
So it's switching back and forth.
You know that you can go up in the...
Yes.
Yeah, you should. You are used to using Zoom. Welcome, everyone. I hope you're having a great morning in the US. If you're up in the middle of the night in the US, maybe. And midday when we come to Europe. And late night in Japan. And all the hours in between. And we're going to host a webinar called Stop Worrying, Start Living. And here I'm sitting, a little bit like this, a little bit sweaty in my hands. The first time I do this, and I am from Sweden, and I'm speaking in English. And Moira is from Argentina, and she also had to speak in English. Bruce is the only one.
I'm the only one who only speaks one language.
So happy to have you here.
I feel like I need to up my language skills.
What do you think? Shall we? Now we have a lot of people here, so I will stop sharing this screen and hope.
Marie, maybe we can wait a couple of minutes more.
Okay.
It's 9:03.
Yeah. Am I rushing?
Yes.
Meanwhile, everybody can stretch and relax and take a deep breath.
Take some water. When we are waiting, we can do this as I always do on my yoga classes, and that I try to, and I do with Hugo, my son, every morning. We stand in front of each other and close our eyes. First, we just exhale through the mouth. And then inhale through the nose, count to 5. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold the last time. Good. Inhale. And welcome. Now we're here. What do you say, Moira? Tell me when I should stop sharing.
Okay, we can start now. Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. And thank you very much for joining us in this special webinar today. My name is Moira Lijesthröm from Argentina. I am a mother of a young adult with FOP and also the president of Fundación FOP that was started several years ago in order to work for the FOP cause, which is to support the achievement of treatments along with support families from my country and other from Latin American ones. As we all know very well, living with FOP is a daily challenge. So when Marie invited me to collaborate with her in this webinar, I really thought it was a great idea because it's very important to know about FOP and have all the information about treatments and clinical trials and so on. But it's also very important to know and to have some tools for those moments in which FOP is so difficult to cope in the everyday living. So welcome Bruce and Marie, who will speak about this. And to introduce you, Bruce Van Horn from the US uses words to positively change the world. He is a writer, a speaker, a teacher, and a coach whose mission in life is to reach, teach, and empower people to live intentionally as the fullest expression of who they were created to be. Anne-Marie Fahlberg from Sweden is a health motivator, a lifestyle coach, nutrition counselor, yoga and body awareness guide, advisor, and a parent of a 23-year-old son with FOP. She is on a mission to guide and inspire as many people as possible to learn about FOP, to grow from where we are, gain strength, and live a life without worrying about the future. So thank you for being here today and to give this talk that will help us very much. So after the talk, we will have time for question and answers that you, the attendees, can do in the chat or in the button of question and answers. So thank you, and please, Bruce and Marie.
Thank you, Moira. And welcome, Bruce. I'm so excited. to
I'm
be
so
able
happy to
to,
be here with you.
yeah, to share your energy with the rest of the world. And it's really the rest of the world. We have attendees from 17 countries
Wow.
across the globe. I think we cover every continent. That's really amazing.
So exciting.
Yeah. And your words about how to handle worry and fear. I'm a parent, and I will never understand how it is to live with FOP. But those of you who live with FOP inside your body, who are here today, you are my source to inspiration and knowledge. I learn from you. Often we as parents, we worry much more than our children. Children, they live in the present. They adapt so much faster than us. Mm-hmm. Children focus on having fun in life. And I believe we shall do that too. Bruce, you used to be an expert warrior. Difficult to imagine. I can't really imagine that, but tell us a little bit about that, please.
Oh yeah, I've been through a lot of stuff in my life, and sure, just I'm a dad. I have two surviving sons. I had a daughter who passed away. She would have been 22 years old 3 days ago, and so was their mother had multiple mental and physical health issues. So just a lot to worrying about finances. Am I going to be able to make enough money to be able to support them? Am I going to do the right thing? Or, how am I going to get doctors and everything? And, and then, within my career, I had so many things that I just worried about, that I stressed about. And what I realized was that I wasn't actually living in the moment. Right? That I all of my worries, all of my fears had nothing to do actually with today. Right? All of my fears were about next week or next month or next year. And yeah, so I was an expert worrier. I'd worry if we're going to drive, to go on vacation, is the car going to break down, even though our car was in great shape. And, there was I've never had the car break down before, but I always worried, would it? Right. And then, is one of the kids going to get hurt? Or are we going to, yeah. And then I would take my boys camping and then constantly worried about, are they going to trip and fall near the fire that we've started? Just so many things that can seem like legitimate concerns. And I'm not saying that they're not, because sometimes, as I've mentioned in a book that I wrote, sometimes our worry can actually be our intuition, right? Telling us, this might not be the right place to go at this particular time. And so sometimes we do need to have some discernment. Yet, in my experience, probably well over 90% in statistics, we just make those up on the fly. A lot of the time, the worry is completely unnecessary and completely unfounded. And what it's doing is robbing us from our ability to not just live in this moment, but to actually really enjoy this moment. Because if we just look around us, there's so many things that if we were to focus on those things, we'd smile. We'd feel a sense of peace in our heart. But we tend to focus on what's going wrong or what could go wrong, or and so yeah, so I've had my share of worry. But as you mentioned, I did some deep dive and some deep inner work to really try to unearth what is that all about? What is that all about?
Yes, you had a lot to worry about, but now you have learned. And when I contacted you in November, I had not read your book, Worry No More, but I did that last week. And I have followed you on Twitter for
ages.
Yes, almost 10 years.
Yeah, we've been friends for a long time.
Yeah. And during COVID, I listened to your podcast, Life is a Marathon. And after listening to 2 of the episodes, number 522, Create Mess into Magic, and the episode 523, The Chemistry of Happy Thoughts, I sent you a message on Instagram, because then we got connected on Instagram. Because I wanted to share you with the FOP families. You have inspired me for so many years. And those 2 podcast episodes explained the way I act when hurdles appears in my life. I do worry. With FOP, there can be tons of things to worry about, but it always makes me take action to change direction. And you talk about that in your book, the different ways to worry. Can you explain that? When it's good to worry and when it's not so good to worry?
Well, I would say that it's probably, if I could go back and or release a revised edition of the book, I think I don't know, and I alluded to it just a bit ago. I don't know that it's ever a good thing to worry, right? It is a good thing to use our wisdom and to listen to our intuition, right? Which again, we can have these, these warning signs that come up within us, and very often from our egoic consciousness, it's our higher consciousness that's telling us, this isn't going to end well. But our ego can be so committed to doing this thing, or hitting that send button when we probably shouldn't hit the send button. And so sometimes there's that inner intuition that we need to start listening to and being wise. For the most part, worry itself, where I like to use the metaphor that, if you've ever been to a movie, theater and watched whatever you think is the greatest movie you've ever seen, between the writing and the acting and the sets, and whether it's computer generated or real, doesn't really matter. Nobody in Hollywood or wherever movies are going to be made will ever be as creative as you are in your own mind, right? And so we are, when we think about the future, we're writing our own movie. We're writing the scripts, we're casting the characters, we're doing all of the set design. And so the metaphor that I like to use is that when we're worried about something, we're writing a movie that ends badly, right? It's one of those movies where everybody dies at the end, or it just ends horribly. Yet we're in control of the script, and I think we forget that. And one of the things that it gets proven over and over and over again, not only metaphorically, but even scientifically, we will move in the direction of that which we focus on, right? I have a buddy of mine who actually is a race car driver. And he said, when you're learning how to go around a track, right, at 200 plus miles an hour, I don't know what that equates to in kilometers per hour, but it's really fast. You have to always be looking at where you want to go. If even for a split second you look at the car next to you, or you look up into the stands, your car moves in that direction, and you'll hit the wall or you'll hit the car. You have to constantly be focused on where you want to go. And worry is a constant focus on where you don't want to go. And so very often, our ego says, see, we were right. This turned out badly. Yet you are anticipating it. And so in many ways, we become those self-fulfilling prophecies in our lives. We will get more of what we focus on. So what I had to learn how to do was intentionally rewrite the script and ask a question. Is it true? Is it true? Is it true? And even if it's potentially likely to be true, is there another potential truth that could work out in my favor or in my kids' favor or whatever it is? And because if we're thinking about anything in the future, it's fiction. Right? Now, for some of you, wherever you are in the world, it's already dinner time or past dinner time. I just woke up. I just had breakfast, my cup of coffee. I am actually going to go have lunch today with a friend of mine. When we're done here, I'll go have lunch with a friend of mine. The thought of having lunch with my friend is fiction. It hasn't happened yet. And so I can imagine what that lunch will be like. Yet, when I think about something that's going to happen in the future, guess when I feel it? I feel it in real time. So in a very real sense, what you're thinking about the future is already real within your own body. And so if you're thinking about something that hasn't happened yet, but you're feeling a pain and you're thinking about the pain, then you're already in pain emotionally. And it is limiting your ability to change the outcome. So if we're going to think something fiction, let's at least think something positive. Let's think something wonderful. Right? And feel free to interrupt me, because I will just keep, me, I will just keep going.
That's where I say focus on possibilities.
Yes.
To focus on the things we want.
On the positive possibilities, yes, rather than on the negative possibilities.
Yes.
Right.
FOP is a diagnosis that is really unpredictable.
Yeah.
Muscles, tendons, ligaments turning into bone. It's just like a scary science fiction movie. And it can be very painful for the patient for periods. And the loss of mobility, and to always be careful and to avoid trauma and all the consequences that it can bring. Of course, there's a lot of things to worry about and to take action in the present and for the futures. But then we have all these unnecessary what ifs. You had a lot of what ifs. I remember when listening to your book, when your daughter, those 8 days before she passed away, the what if she survived, what if, can you tell us? You all the thoughts you had, I could really relate to that. If she's, you have to tell us what happened. She had a heart disease.
Yeah. So she was born, my daughter was born, her name was Abby, and she was born with what's called transposition of the great arteries. And so her pulmonary artery and her aortic artery were reversed. And so in utero, that's fine, because the baby is getting oxygenated blood from the mother. And the heart is beating and things are circulating just fine. They're just circulating backwards, right? And so the trouble is that when these babies are born, the heart is basically beating backwards. And so it's not taking oxygenated blood from the lungs and then distributing to the body. It's moving backwards. And so essentially, even though it looks like they're breathing, they suffocate because there's no oxygen going to their brain or to their body. And fortunately, fortunately / unfortunately, you know, everything, and that's part of the turning mess into magic piece. But so she had to undergo what's basically from the moment they took her out of my wife's womb, she had to go on a complete heart-lung bypass machine. So the machine would do what her heart was supposed to do. The process, I mean, even as the doctor is explaining to us what is about to happen, the doctor tells us that just the process takes about 15 minutes to do it. Can you hold your breath for 15 minutes? That's what you're asking a baby to do. And so the failure rate, the mortality rate, the well over 90% of people who go through this process, they die before they're even able to get the machines hooked up. You know, and then there's always the possibility of long-term brain damage from the last. So the doctor's not painting a very positive outcome. Yet some miracles happen. They actually are written up in the Harvard Journal of Medicine as the fastest ever, you know, from womb to ECMO is what the machine is called. So they set an all-time record. They had her hooked up in like 13 minutes. It had never been done before. And so she's listed in I think it's the New England Journal of Medicine, because our surgeon wrote an article about it. And based on all of the brain scans they were able to do, there seemed to be no brain damage.
Can I stop you just a second? You were worrying because you told in the book you're telling you were also worrying what is going to happen if she survives. Will she be able to play sports? Will she be able to get the boyfriend? Will she be able to do this? Will they like her because of the scar? And all those things you worry about, and at the same time worry about that she is not going to survive. And I think those things are really something people with, or parents with FOP children can relate to. And I hear often parents are worrying about the future for their daughters or sons. Will they have a partner? And for me, that's I have never done that, because that's for me. I always been fascinated by when people you know, we have, all of us fall in love with different humans, different personalities, different. And you never know who you fall in love with. So you can see if you just look around you.
What a normal life is supposed to look like is my idea of a normal life. And I've met so many people who were born with various conditions where their normal is very different from my normal, but they're happy. And you know, and so, but from a parent's perspective, we kind of worry, are they going to have the kind of life that I want them to have? So I'm so proud of you for not going there and allowing Hugo to be whatever he's going to be and to experience whatever he's going to experience, and let that be wonderful.
And Hugo, he was really passionate hockey player from birth. His father was playing hockey, and hockey was, you know, that was his thing. And the first time he was on the ice, he was only a little bit more than 2 years old before he was diagnosed with FOP, of course. And so for me, that was the thing that I cried most about when everything exploded, that Hugo is never going to play hockey. And I remember I told my mother, and I said, why do I even cry? For he's not going to play hockey. He's not going to die. He's going to survive. why am I crying about? He's not going to play hockey. And my mother, she was really clever, and she said, but Marie, that's because the things we take for granted.
Right.
And the things we just take for granted, I think the tiny things, to give a hug, because he couldn't give me a hug when everything had started. But then when he became a little bit taller, he was able to hug me because his arms became a little bit longer, and the body became longer, so I could lift him up, so he came across me. So all the things we get sad for. And I remember one flare-up that was really a disaster. He had a lot of fun, and that is something I always told him ever since he was 2.5 years old. The most important thing is to have fun in life. If you have an accident when you are having fun, that's okay. But if you have an accident because you're doing stupid things, that's not so okay. So try to avoid that. But he had a fall. He was laughing so hard that he fell on his back. And the pain after that was just one day after. He was screaming, thought I was cutting him with a knife in the back.
Yeah.
That was really, we were crying, both of us.
Yeah.
But the cool thing with this specific event, he was only 2 years, 6 months or something like that. And no, he was older. Sorry, it was later. His back was on the way to curve, very much scoliosis.
Right.
But this really, really, the worst painful flare-up he had experienced, it created a little piece of bone that stopped the scoliosis. So that was a good flare-up. It was a really painful flare-up, but it was a good one. So also that is something, we never know the outcome. We can just be in the present and try to heal. I have some notes here. So I don't put yes.
You know, I love people who show up with lists. I don't tend to make lists myself, but I love when my clients show up with lists of things they want to talk to Bruce about.
I can talk so long, so those of you who are here listening from the FOP family, you know both that I can talk a lot and I can cry a lot. I have not cried yet. I should try to avoid that. And
no, you shouldn't. Just let it be whatever it's going to be. Yeah.
My personal focus is always on what I want in life. What can I do from where I am with what I have? That is my direction. The other things, I really try to do my best to just leave behind. Okay, we can't do that. Leave it. Leave it. Leave it. Just to be able to find peace. And in one way, I think it's good to don't have all the options. When you are a person who can see all the possibilities, you can see so many things to do. So for me, it's like, okay, I can't do that. I can't do that. We can't do that. Good. What can we do? And just enter. What are our possibilities? But the tricky part is to protect my peace. And
I saw a beautiful post this morning on Instagram that said, your life will become a masterpiece when you learn to master peace.
Yes.
So true.
So when people are asking me in the way, oh, how was that for you? How did you feel? Oh, it's like someone is really dragging me back to the pain and the suffer and the fear.
Right.
It was scary when everything, and for years, Hugo's FOP was flaring constantly.
Yeah.
And it, when they feel sorry, and I just, oh, don't take me there. But when people instead ask, what happened? What did you do? How did you do that? That's really inspiring. It gives me energy. Right. It has a clear purpose. It's a possibility for others to learn how to handle events from my experience of FOP. And those are actually the same questions that I ask adults who live with FOP in purpose to understand their story. What bone formation was just FOP itself? And what bone formations was caused by wrong treatments, virus, accidents, surgeries, biopsies, EM injections, or other events? I ask them with the purpose to learn more about FOP itself and learn what to avoid and how to act, to be able to create the conditions for a better future for my son and hopefully for everyone else out there.
Yeah.
What worries me most today is not Hugo's FOP. I learned to live with Hugo's FOP. That's not a big thing. And the most important thing for us, as I see it, it has been to remove fear, remove stress, just love FOP. Love is a part living inside his body. I can kiss his toes. He's 23 years old. I give him foot massage every morning to get the circulation flowing. And, to just try to embrace it. Okay, FOP don't like stress. FOP don't like fear. Don't like, how to say it. Maybe we should say, for FOP to be more active, if you add stress, yay, FOP goes, hey, now I can do it. I can become bone. And if you fall, FOP, yay, hey, now I can play. So if you, instead of that, try to create a calm environment, relax, don't stress, and if there's a flare-up, just rest and love and talk nicely to your FOP, as it is, some little baby, you just need it to sleep again. Go to sleep and just treat it as someone else, because you are not FOP. It's just a little, it's a gene mutation. It's a mutation.
It's no different than our emotions, because whether it's a disease, and I don't actually like that word, but whenever we're feeling whatever we're feeling, I love your illustration. It's like a little kid on the playground who's fallen down and skinned his or her knee, and they come running to mommy or daddy, crying. They just want some attention. They just want some love. They want to put a Band-Aid on it, kiss the boo-boo, and then they turn around and go back and play on the playground. But if you scold it, if you say, I don't have time for you right now, then they throw a little temper tantrum, or worse, they just go back to the playground and they seethe about it, and it just becomes a worse problem. And so as everything about us just wants to be loved and hugged and seen and told that we're beautiful, right? Because there's beauty in whatever it is that we're experiencing, or there is a beauty that's available to us. And when we're stressed, it creates a very fertile ground for unhealthiness to grow. Yet when we think beautiful, healthy, positive thoughts, biochemical reactions happen in our body where our immune system is turned on, our body produces glucose for our brain to perform creative problem-solving thinking, none of which happens when we're in the stress response. Cortisol levels spike, right? Which are known toxins to our body. And so, this is why meditation, this is why being peaceful as much as you possibly can creates stress, or, it creates an environment where those things are starved.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm going a little bit back to what I said earlier. The things that worry me most is when parents believe someone else's FOP story is their children's future.
Oh, yes.
I have always told Hugo, when we go to, he was the first time we went to a FOP meeting, he was the same year he was diagnosed. He was diagnosed in January. He was 2.5 years. And in the summer, we went to Germany for a meeting and met Dr. Kaplan and all the lovely people in Germany and from some other countries. And at that time, we didn't know what to expect. But the next meeting, I told Hugo that person's FOP is not your future. What happens to you and what your FOP has in mind for you, that's a totally different story. And I think that is something that both we as parents and those who is living with FOP also, of course, it's, as I said, I'm a parent. I can only speak as a parent. I can never imagine how it is to live with FOP. And that is also something that makes me grateful for my body. And that's the reason I take care of my body and my mental health. Thanks to FOP, thanks to Hugo's FOP, because I want to be also a role model for Hugo and for his brother. And imagine to have a child with FOP, and then I don't take care of myself. I really, and I don't use my body the way I could. And I'm thinking, if sorry if this can be hard, but imagine to be in Hugo's shoes and have FOP. He's not able to run or, he's stiff. He's stiff in the whole back and he can walk still. But imagine all the things he can't do. And if I start to eat crappy food, don't take care of myself, get a lot of pain in my body, my healthy body, and I spoil it. I spoil that. And
this is so important for all of you caregivers, right? Because taking care of you, actually making you, Marie, you need to be your number one priority. Who go next? But you. Now that feels our egoic consciousness piles guilt on top of us. Oh, no, because there's this societal teaching that says we're supposed to put the needs of others ahead of our own needs. Well, there's a reason when we get on an airplane, they tell us to put the oxygen mask on our own face first. You taking care of you is the greatest gift you can give to somebody else, right? You taking care of you, you have to be your number one priority. Your happiness, your health is the greatest gift that you can give to Hugo, to your spouse, to your other children, to the world, right? So yeah, and that's so hard for caregivers. It's so hard for mothers in general, even when you have healthy children, right? Mothers tend to put themselves last, and it's just the opposite of what we are supposed to do. We are supposed to put ourselves first, not to the neglect of, right? But so that we can best serve, right? I have to take care of my body. I have to take care of my mental and spiritual health first and foremost, right? Even in marriages, right? We don't actually work on the marriage, right? We need to work on ourselves, because it's my energy that is what the marriage is, my half of the marriage is made up with. So my ability to take care of my kids, my ability to coach or to speak is 100% dependent on me making my physical, mental, and spiritual health my number one priority. Because I can't help you if I'm a wreck, right? And that's another thing that we can get caught up in, is we need to realize that we can't help people. So when one of our friends or family or somebody is sad or just really, there's this fine line with this word compassion, right? Because it literally means to go into and to suffer with someone. The word passion actually is a Latin word that just means suffering. We have completely misused the word recently to make it sound like excitement or enthusiasm. The word actually means suffering. And so to have compassion actually means to suffer with someone. And while that sounds like a good thing, it's not, because we cannot help people by becoming like them. We can only help people by being what they need. They need somebody who is able to think creatively, problem solve. What people need is to be loved, not for us to get sad along beside them. So I applaud you for taking care of you. I love your videos every morning, where you've got your coffee and you're doing your yoga, and you are taking care of you to start your day.
Yes.
Because then if the rest of the day goes sideways, you've already experienced joy and peace in your own life. And from that, we carry that energy into our day, where if we wake up just scrambling, stressed, already in a scarcity mindset, I've run out of time, then we carry that energy into our day and into the people we interact with. So I love that you're talking about that.
And
so important for caregivers.
Yes, and one thing that I always done is my first priority is sleep. I need to go to bed 8 hours before I'm going up. So first and also I always need to get up 1 hour before Hugo, because I need my hour. I need to be 1 hour ahead of FOP. So
right.
I need my time. When he was younger, when I was working as a hairdresser, I went up 6 o'clock in the morning, took a walk, because I knew I will not be able to do my walk in the evening. So I got up always with a headache, always tension, because in the start it was, and I got a herniated disc in my lower back in 2010. So I know the pain where I don't want to go back to, but it's to to take this time in the morning. And when people say, oh, I don't have time, it's sleep is top priority, both for me and for Hugo. And when we are sleeping, we are healing. And all the process, we need to sleep. And so just to decide, you need to be hard on yourself. Okay, what time do I need to get up to be able to do some, to wake Hugo up and take care of him in a relaxed way? Maybe that takes 1.5 hours. Okay, then I count backwards. Okay, I have to go up at this time. 8 hours. Okay, I have to go to sleep. And that's my choice. I have to tell my brain, you have to go to sleep because this is what you need. Because it's more fun to have energy when you wake up. I hate to wake up tired. And so thankfully, I'm really good at sleeping also. You have already told us about the E plus R equal O. Have you done that, Bruce?
No, we haven't talked about
No,
that
we haven't.
yet.
Oh, you just have to. You talk about writing movie. What? The clock is ticking, but
see, time doesn't exist. Clocks do.
That's true. We're not in a hurry.
Now, we do need to pay attention to the clock, but
Yes.
time, right. So do you want to do E plus R equals O, or do you want to talk about something else? I can talk about anything.
E plus R. E plus R, I like that one.
It's a beautiful formula, right? Because we think that, let's use a really easy example. You go to, you come home from work, and from whatever situation, we use this phrase, my boss or that lady at the grocery store, she made me so angry. So the me being so angry part it's the outcome. It's what I'm feeling. It's what I actually am, right? And so one of the things that I often coach people to do is be careful of your I am. There's a very important yet subtle difference between these two phrases. The first phrase, we often say, I am so angry. That's phrase one. I am feeling so angry. That's phrase two. Guess what the difference is? The I am being directly related to angry versus the I am who is feeling a thing. I've now I am still maintaining my autonomy as an I am presence who happens to be feeling an emotion. Now, what we can do is figure out what caused me to feel that emotion. So we live, when I show up and say, I am so angry, I'm about to tell you why. So that's the event. So the event is the what happened. The outcome is what I'm feeling. And so most of us live our lives in a event equals outcome situation. Yet we can look around and see that some people experienced the very same event, but they're not angry. So the formula cannot be true. Right? So there's got to be something in between. The event is the event. We cannot change that. And we may not have contributed to it, or we may have. It doesn't matter, right? I fall down and I break my arm. That's an event. So there's also physical pain. And I forget who it is. It said pain is pain, but suffering is optional. Because the suffering is the story that I don't have time for this, the why do bad things always happen to me? That's the suffering piece. Our body is designed with nerve endings, and we feel things. And So, but anyway, the event is the event. The outcome is variable based on what we do with the event. So instead of event E equals O, event equals outcome, it's actually the event plus our response to the event that produces the outcome. And one of my favorite writers is Viktor Frankl, who wrote this brilliant book called Man's Search for Meaning. And he basically says this thing between this, he said, uses the word stimulus instead of event. He says between the stimulus and the response is a space. And in that space is your power to choose your response. And in that power to choose lies your freedom. Now, he wrote this while he was a prisoner in Auschwitz during the Holocaust. Between the stimulus and the response, there's a space, maybe only a split second, but there's always a space. And if what you want to feel is freedom, you can choose a response that produces that feeling. You can either choose to be a victim to the event, or you can choose to be a victor over the event. Right? You may not be removed from prison, but how you stay in prison is your choice. Right? You may not have chosen FOP, but how you live with FOP is a choice, and your experience of the thing. Right? So one of the things we didn't touch on, and feel free to stop me, is I'm a stage 4 cancer survivor. So later in my life, well after my daughter, I was diagnosed when I turned age 50. I'm 58 now. So 8 years ago, I received a diagnosis of very, very advanced prostate cancer. I initially felt scared and upset and angry, but then I was able to pause. And before I sat down and talked with my boys about it, because at this point I'm a single parent with full custody of my 2 boys, I had to say, you know what? I don't know how this turns out. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I even survive. I don't know. However, I do know that how we go. So I didn't get a choice to walk down this path, but I do know that how I choose to walk down this path will directly influence the outcome of the path. And I've been through, and this is sort of the transforming mess into magic piece, is I've been through enough things in my life that at the time I called tragedies. They were horrible. I didn't know how I would possibly survive emotionally or sometimes even physically. But now, as I'm much further down this path of my life, I like to use this idea of a labyrinth. A labyrinth is this constantly weaving maze. There are no wrong turns in a labyrinth. You can't get lost in a labyrinth. You just keep following it until it comes out the other side or into the center is what it really is. But I told my boys, I've been through bankruptcy. That was hard. I've been through divorce with your mother. That was hard. I've been through the death of your sister. That was hard. Yet I look back on each one of those events and I survived those for a reason. They have, even though I don't ever want to go back to experience those things again, and I would never wish those on anybody else, I would not go back and undo it because I am a better, richer, wiser human being for having had those experiences. So in many ways, that mess, the magic of it is now I see those things as tremendous blessings. They make me be able to relate to you. They make me a more loving, understanding human being. And so I had to tell my boys, I don't know how cancer turns out. Yet I do know that how we go down this path will determine. If I give up now, it's probably the end. But if I see this as just another twist in the labyrinth of my life, that I don't know how it turns out, but we get to, it's all fiction. So let's write a beautiful ending now, feel that beautiful ending now before we even get there. Right?
Oh, it's that is something that is I think many of us parents, when we are getting a little bit older and friends around us are getting sick, many people get cancer in the 50s. I'm 55, and that can also be something that we as parents can worry about. If something happens to us, how shall the children manage? And so there is a lot of things to worry about. And one last quote is the one, rest in peace. I can take that one because I think it's a beautiful way for us to learn to be peaceful when we rest, when we take a break. And I know once when I still can hear your voice, Bruce. Sometimes when I feel my body is on the way to bed, I need to relax. I need, in the latest step, my brain is saying to me, hey, you have this to do on the computer, you have that to do, and a little bit like this. And then I hear Bruce's voice. What does Marie need?
Yeah.
Okay, my body tells me to relax. It's stiff here, I'm pain, I'm tired, I need to relax. Put on Netflix, do that. And rest peacefully on the bed. Do not stress over the computer or whatsoever it can be in life. Just be there and get back energy, because after rest and breathing and getting some water, we get the energy back, and it's easy to do the other things afterwards. And I think
we often forget that peace isn't something that's outside of us that we need to go find. Peace is always inside of us in this present moment. All we need to do is awaken to its presence that has always been there and use it. Still the mind, come back to the now. Right now, there is peace available to me, and I can tap into it if I just rest.
I think that will be our, what do you say, conclusion words.
Sure.
Yeah. And I think we shall.
Or the beginning, right? It's the beginning of the next webinar.
Yes.
Right? I ended the very last chapter in my book is Welcome to the Beginning.
Yes.
Right?
It's we could talk for hours. Now we have Moira back, and I don't know if we have any questions or comments or.
Thank you very much for this great chat. I think that, yes, this is time for questions and comments, and maybe people. I have one question to you, and it's about worry. So how do you change when you have so many different situations? How you change worry for a different positive outcome to that?
Yeah. The first step is awareness, right? Nothing ever changes. Nothing will ever change until we become aware of what we're feeling, of what we're thinking, become aware of what I'm feeling as a result of what I'm thinking. So first step is to do that little detachment. Instead of I am worried, I am feeling worry. And now that you've removed a little bit, you can sort of do this. And I teach a sort of a levitation. I call it an observance meditation, where your awareness energy, I call it your higher consciousness, that isn't caught up in the emotions of the thing. It's a neutral observer. It is I'll call it that God consciousness that lives in all of us. Sort of just rise above yourself and imagine that you're looking down on yourself from maybe a security camera on the ceiling, or you've risen above yourself, and just see yourself worried about whatever it is. And your awareness consciousness isn't judgmental. It just observes. It's always loving. It's always understanding, right? And you can see yourself and your body worried. You can see yourself and what that's doing to your body. It's bringing on a sadness. And you can also connect the dots to see the events or the things that it is that you're worried about. And it's like watching something from, drone footage, or, if you're stuck in a traffic jam on the highway and everybody's all upset and honking, and you can go up to like the 10th floor of a building and see everybody. Now you're not in it, but you can see that 3 or 4 blocks up the street, there's a really bad traffic accident. And your awareness energy can actually go, ooh, I hope those people are okay. And now I'm not so worried about being late. I'm actually shifted to concern about what it is that caused the traffic accident. But from that place of loving yourself first, you can then just come back down into your body and remind yourself that that's tomorrow's issue, right? I don't have to solve that problem today, right? So that would be the very first thing, is awareness of what you're feeling, asking yourself, why am I feeling this way? And does first of all, worrying about this, does this serve me well? Is being all stressed out and tensed up about this right now going to make it easier for me to resolve the issue? Or would be me living right now in a sense of calm and peace actually allow me to be more creative when the situation actually presents itself? So realizing from awareness that you're stuck in the future, and that right now you may not have to solve that, or you realize that right now I'm not going to solve it as effectively or as efficiently or as beautifully as I could if I'm really peaceful right now.
Yeah.
So awareness, everything starts with awareness.
I remember when Hugo, when he was, when we went to the first FOP meeting, and I met Dr. Kaplan, our FOP expert, and I had a lot of questions, and he answered all the questions he was able to answer, and he told me about all the things he didn't know about, that we don't know about FOP. And I remember I felt really, I was so peaceful after this meeting. And today I can just wire myself back. I can hear his voice, and his voice is calming, and it's really it can calm me down. And after, when we got back home and Hugo got a flare-up on his shin, and when you feel the fear, and it just on the way to start crying, you see, I'm almost there, just telling about it. It's not even now. Hey, I'm here. And then I was looking at Hugo, And he was laughing, he was having fun, he was playing. He didn't feel anything about this swelling. And I had the first conversation with myself in my head. I was looking at Hugo, thinking, Hugo, don't feel anything. Hugo is having fun. He's not in pain. Why should I be in pain? Why should I cry? Why should I create a problem for myself when he's just living in the present? And for me, that is really the transformation from going into this fear of the outcome, what is going to happen with this. Instead, just what does Hugo need from me today? He needs a calm mother. He needs a strong mother. And when things happen, when they grow older, they don't have to be much older. If I get afraid or some event happens, I always close my eyes so he's not able to look into my eyes. And the thing is, if we close the eyes and don't say anything, when we open the mouth, it's a fight and flight reaction. So when we close it and start to breathe through the nose, it's on the rest and digest system. It triggered the vagus nerve that calms us down. So just to close the eyes and be quiet, whatever is happening around you, just breathe. The person in front of you, if it's the person with FOP, will use you also as a mirror and do the same. So it will calm them down.
Yeah.
It's a little trick because you don't speak to a person who close the eyes and the mouth. We are going inside. That's also a little trick I use.
That's beautiful.
Yes, and we have some comments here and a question, a comment from Rebecca. Thank you all, very important content. It was a joy to start my day with you all. And there is another comment. Thank you for the recommendation of being always happy and that time does not exist but clocks. And then there is a question here from Saskia. How can you help someone else who is really stressed and worried, but is not open to the things you just discussed?
I think
Go ahead.
It's start to figure out what I don't get the words right here. It's always difficult, and I think when people are not ready, they are just not ready. We just need to be there. And as with children, small children or children overall, they don't do what we tell them to do. They do what we do. My children, they are drinking water. I have never, ever in my life told them to drink water. But I always have a large can of water and I'm drinking water. And they are doing it. So we can't tell someone else to do something we can just be the guide. And I know one of the FOP mothers, she said something about my way to handle life with FOP, and we're really good friends. So I said to her, just look and learn, do what I do, and you will get there. Because sometimes people, I can't tell anyone what to do. I can just do my thing. I can just be me. And maybe someone else like to do other things. People don't need to do handstand or yoga or breathing exercise. They just need to find a way to close their eyes and breathe through the nose. That's where it all starts, the nose breathing. So, and I taught one girl, she had fear for washing her hair. She has FOP, and she have a lot of long hair, and she feels like she is losing the breath when her mother is washing the hair. So I told the mother that I know the daughter is singing, and I say, if you tell her to think of a song and hum it, I can't do that. I can't sing, so I will not. But you understand me. The song she really loved. And imagine her, close her eyes, imagine herself in a great place she wants to be, where she's happy, and the happy song. And let her hum for 10 minutes. Because when she's humming that song, she's breathing through the nose, calming down. And then when she knows that she is able to hum this song for 10 minutes, she can do that in the shower when her mother is washing her hair. Because she knows that she can do the nose breathing. When she's humming, she will get air. She can do that. She don't have, and that's also a tool that to stimulate the vagus nerve. So sometimes maybe we need just to find. I think both. I am where I am today. I wasn't the person or the healthy person. I used to be a smoker. I was a party person. I love candy and white bread and all those things that is not really good for the body. So I understand the struggle also. But for me, it has been, what do I need to do? What can I can't do anything about Hugo's FOP. That is there. But what can I do with myself to create the best version of myself? I can only focus on myself, and hopefully they will follow. And also to understand, that is something, even when Hugo was 2 years old, I told him, you have to be nice to other people because you are not allowed to get hurt. So if your brother, or if you are throwing a car in the head of your brother and he hit you back, it's not his fault that he hit you because you started it. And if he hit you and you fall and you get bone in your leg or in your arm so you can't move, that's not fair to your brother, because in that case he had to live, it's not his fault, but he will feel that he had hurt you and created that bone formation, but it's not. So I think I have always been very hard to Hugo to be responsible for his FOP, for his body, and he is the only one who can take responsibility for his body, and he have to learn. And I also have to show him that I trust you. I trust that you can take care of you. The mind, hey, FOP is just the body, it's just the bone, but the mind is working. Your head, use your head, use your imagination, and use it and take responsibility. But never be, we love our children, and but we have to believe in them. We have to trust that they manage. I never worry about Hugo. I don't. For some reason, I just feel he will manage. Maybe I'm different, and I'm talking a lot.
And we have some other comments. This is one from Delma, who is a really, really smart mother from Argentina. And she says, thank you. And the way to calm needs to include the storms. We are that we were able to build and sometimes to destroy, to keep going. This is very interesting comment. Mm-hmm. And there is another one from Patty. She says, this has been an inspiring way to begin my day. Thank you to all. We live by many of these days, but always need to renew, to redirect, to look at our paths. The struggles are real.
Yes.
The struggles are real. It's so totally different. To live with FOP in the family is you can't you have to experience it.
Yes.
There are so many different things, and maybe we learn, or at least for me, to learn to live with FOP and to handle Hugo's FOP. And then you have all the other things, the school, everything around, and people who don't understand and always need to explain, and it's tons of things to think of. So it's and it's so different. But I'm so happy also and thankful for the journey and all the people we meet. Like Moira and I, we go back 20 years when our children got diagnosed. And now we are here.
Oh, yes. A long way.
Yes. Do we have any more questions?
No, I don't think. Does anyone want to make a question or a comment? I think we are done.
It's been a wonderful discussion. I've so enjoyed this. I always enjoy your energy, Marie. We could just talk forever about these things, but it would be fun to do this again.
Yes. And thank you and everyone else who is watching and have shared the time with us today. And it's so inspiring to be here. The opportunities we have with Zoom, internet, YouTube, to just share. Yeah. And those who receive it. And it goes to those who need it. And if we just can help someone to change a little or learn something new, get inspired to do something to take care of themselves. If you live with FOP, take care of yourself. Make sure you are important. You are important. Yes. Equally as everyone else, and also the parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's time to say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody who attended.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, everyone, and for you too, for this wonderful talk.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Let's do this more times. And I have learned to everyone before we close, if you just know what things I put me through, only because of FOP, I have learned to create a Zoom webinar. I've never done that before. And how to use translators and how to, all the technical parts. And that's I thought from the beginning that, hey, I'm just going to talk with Bruce and we're going to talk here and I will just jump in, and we have this 1 hour session that now is up to 1 hour 25 minutes. And
and it's been perfect, hasn't it?
Yes, it's a great day. Now I'm going to leave you all. I'm going to help Hugo's older brother, who just moved away from home. He had to wait 1 week to move because Hugo is in the clinical trials for FOP. So we had to fly 2 weeks ago up to the north of Sweden to meet a doctor. So he couldn't move that week. So he had to move last weekend. And he had to wait 1 week only because I am preparing for a webinar before I can help him with the windows and to finish. So now I'm gonna leave.
A mother's work is never done.
No, but also to be to take one thing at a time. What's most important today? Now we are here, and then we're somewhere else.
Yes.
Well,
thank you, everybody.
And a last message here in the chat, but I am not able to read it. I'm sorry. It's in Japanese.
Can our Japanese translator? Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Have a wonderful weekend from a sunny Sweden.